Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalam ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man wala amma ba'du. Then yesterday we left off with the conditions of fasting Ramadan. And we said that it was obligatory upon the Muslim, baligh, one who has reached puberty, aqil, qadirin ala sawm, intellectual, meaning he has his intellect, he's sound in his intellect, and he has the ability to fast, right, with the sighting of the moon or by completing 30 days of Sha'ban, due to the statement of the Prophet ﷺ, إِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَصُومُوا وَإِذَا رَأَيْتُمُوهُ فَأَفْطِرُوا فَإِنْ غُمَّ عَلَيْكُمْ فَاقْدُرُوا لَهُ. That he said, ﷺ, and if you see the moon, then fast, or if you see it, then fast, and if you see it, then break your fast, and if it's cloudy upon you, then estimate for it. In another narration, estimate for it 30 days of Sha'ban. And then we said that the month of Ramadan can be fasted by one person seeing the hilal, but as for the rest of the months, then the testimony of two people is needed, two trustworthy people. And that's where we left off. Point 243, we left off. We begin.
And I never, well, I ain't gonna say I never heard of it. Where is that at? That is just one Muslim for the month of Ramadan, and two for any other month. Because I thought it was just always two.
Well, the Prophet ﷺ, he accepted the sighting of one person during his lifetime, right? As for the proof for it right now, then I don't have it here in front of me, but we'll get it inshallah ta'ala, and I'll bring it tomorrow, bi'idhnillah. But we know in his lifetime he accepted the sighting of one person that was trustworthy to him, and he didn't require a second witness for it.
That was during Ramadan.
Yes.
Okay.
Sheikh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di rahimahullah, he says, وَيَجِبُ تَبْيِيتُ أَنِيَّةِ لِسِيَامِ الْفَرْضِ. وَيَجِبُ from وَجَبَ يَجِبُ, present tense verb, marfu' bidhamma, right? Tabyitu, what is obligatory? Tabyit, from bayyita, ba-ya-ta, form 2, tabyit, meaning to, from the night time, right? Tabyit means to spend the night, right? And niyya, to have the niyya at the night time, meaning before Fajr, anytime before Fajr. Before Maghrib until Isha is the night time. From Maghrib until Isha is the night time, so you must have the niyya from the night time, meaning before Fajr. Li siyam al-fard, for the fasting of, or for the obligatory fasting, or for the fasting of the obligation. Right? Siyam al-fard, mudaf ilay. Siyam is majroor because of li, preposition harf jar li. So you have to have the niyya from the night time, meaning before Fajr. So you have the choice to go to bed before and have your niyyah before you go to bed. Tomorrow I'm gonna fast because it's Ramadan and that's obligatory upon me to fast in case I wake up after the time of Fajr, right? But it's permissible if you wake up before Fajr to have that intention. Now some people say You can just make the intention at the beginning of Ramadan. I'm going to fast the whole month. And now you have the intention. You go to bed knowing tomorrow you're going to fast because tomorrow is Ramadan. But if you say, I might travel tomorrow, I don't know, I probably will, I'm not really sure, and say, so I'll make my intention, before Fajr because I'll know then if I'm going to travel or not. And then you fall asleep and you wake up after Fajr time, then you didn't have your intention in the nighttime because you woke up after the time of Fajr. So you didn't have your intention. You wasn't sure if you were going to fast that day or not. So that day would have to be made up because you woke up at a time and you had not made your intention to fast yet. This is why they say yajibu tabyitu niyati, which is again mudaf ilay, to have the intention to spend the night with the intention for fasting for the obligatory prayer. Any question?
No.
Wa amma naflu, wa amma, and as for, amma, as for, an naflu, right? And naflu, the optional. Fayajuzu, then it is permissible, bi niyatin, with an intention, minan nahar, from the daytime. So if it is an optional fast, a nafl, something Mondays and Thursdays, ithnain wa khamis, or the white days, or just a day you want to fast that's permissible for you to fast, and it's optional, then it's permissible to have that intention from the daytime. Meaning, you don't have to have it before Fajr time. You can have it after Fajr, as long as you haven't eaten or drinking. As long as you haven't eaten or drinking, or done anything such as sexual intercourse in the daytime, which would break the fast. So, if you wake up and you don't eat or drink, and around 10 a.m. you say, I'm thinking I'm going to fast today. No problem. The Prophet ﷺ used to come and used to ask his wives after Fajr time. He would ask them, what do you have to eat? They would say, we don't have anything to eat. And so he would say, then today I'm fasting. That would be his determining factor. And it would be after Fajr. He hadn't eaten or drinking. And he said, what do you have? They said, we don't have anything. Okay, well then I'm going to fast. And he would make his intention from the daytime. وَأَمَّا النَّفْلُ فَيَجُوزُ بِنِيَّةٍ مَجْرُورٍ after ba harf jar min al-nahar. That fatah on the noon is for reading purposes, right? Min al-nahar. Any questions?
Nah.
Read those two lines and then we'll scroll down some, inshallah.
ويجب تبييت النية لصيام الفرض وأما النفل فيجوز بنية من النهار.
الله يبارك فيك. It says, وَالْمَرِيدُ, and this I will straighten out. Right? I'll straighten this out because there's a sukoon on the lam and a fatah on the meme. This meme here, right? But it's kind of hard to see. But no problem, inshallah. I already straightened it out actually, but I just haven't uploaded the PDF to my computer so I could put it in the app when I open it up. وَالْمَرِيدُ الَّذِي يَتَضَرَّرُ بِالصَّوْمِ. Al-Marid is the sick person. Al-Maridu is the sick person. Alladhi, which or who, yatadarraru from dad ra, right? From dad ra. From we have the hadith la darar wa la dirar, no harm and no no causing of harm and no reciprocating of harm, right? Harm. Yatadarraru, this is form 5 here, meaning he is caused harm. Al-maridu alladhi yatadarraru bis-sawm, the person who his fasting would harm him, right? He would be harmed by fasting, right? Yatadarraru bis-sawm, meaning if he fasted, he would get sicker, or it would prolong his sickness. Sometimes we have a sickness, and if we fasted, it's not going to matter. It's not going to prolong that sickness. It's not going to make that sickness worse. The scholars would say here, some of them, here, his opinion, that you cannot break your fast, right? However, if you're going to be harmed by your fast, meaning if your fasting is going to be prolonged, your sickness is going to be prolonged, or it's going to be made worse because of fasting. Wal musafiru, and the traveler, lahuma, and again, I fixed this in the PDF, which I'll send out today, inshallah. Lahuma, for them too, al-fitru was-sawm. For them is al-fitr, breaking the fast, was-siyam. I said was-sawm. Was-siyam.
Yeah.
Was-siyam. I was writing at the same time and I didn't look. I'm sorry. Was-siyam. Therefore, them is breaking the fast and fasting. They can do this or they can do that. The fasting the sick person who has caused some harm by his fasting, and the traveler. Lahuma al-fitru was-siyam. For them is the choice to either break the fast or to fast. As for the sick person who's harmed by his fasting, then most of the scholars will say then it is better for him to break his fast. He's sick. He can handle the fast. He can handle it. It's not going to kill him, but it's going to make his sickness longer, or it's going to intensify it. Then they say it's better for him to break his fast because he has this rukhsah from Allah Azza wa Jal. As for the traveler, then he has his choice. He has the choice. He can either fast or he can break his fast. Both of them have the choice, but we're saying it's better for the sick person that will be harmed by it to break his fast. As for the traveler, then we don't say necessarily which one is better. The Prophet ﷺ's companions some of them used to fast, and some of them used to break their fast when traveling, and neither party blamed the other party for being negligent. None of the Sahaba said, oh, look, they're fasting and they're traveling, they're wrong. And none of the Sahaba who were fasting said, oh, look at them, they broke their fast and they're wrong. They didn't blame one another. So the traveling person has this ability to choose, and if he chooses to travel or to break his fast or not, he has the ability to shorten his salat. This is something from the ahkam of the traveler. He has the ability to shorten Dhuhr, Asr, and Isha until 2 rakat, and he can join between Dhuhr and Asr and between Maghrib and Isha. If the person who's traveling, al-musafir, if he travels in the middle of the day, he's not traveling at night before Fajr comes in, he travels after Fajr comes in, then he has the ability to choose to fast or break his fast. So for instance, what if a person was traveling at 5 p.m. at night, right? The day is almost over, right? The day is almost over. You only got 2.5 hours, 3 hours until Maghrib. 2 hours, 1 hour, 2, 3 hours, whatever the time frame is, and he's traveling at that time. He has the choice to break his fast or to continue fasting, right? But he has to have, because he woke up at Fajr, according to what we learned earlier today, was he had to have the intention to fast. He had to have the intention to fast from before Fajr. But after that, he decides to travel, or traveling comes in, then he has the ability to break his fast or to fast. Any questions?
لا.
طيب. والحائض والنفساء يحرم عليهما الصيام وعليهما القضاء. Al-Ha'id is the woman who is menstruating. Right? Al-Ha'id is the woman who is menstruating. From ha, ya, dad. Ha, ya, dad. Haid. Haid is menstruation. Ha'id is the woman who is menstruating. Right? Wal-Ha'id wal-Nufasa. Nufasa are those women who have postpartum bleeding, meaning after having given birth, they have postpartum bleeding up to 40 days. This is called nufasa, or the actual the bleeding is called nifas, right? Nun fa sin, nufasa. Those women who have menstrual blood, and those women who have postpartum bleeding, yahrumu alayhima as-siyam. It is prohibited for them to, or it is prohibited upon them to fast. Or fasting is prohibited upon them. Right? They cannot fast. It is not permissible. Wa alayhima al-qada. And upon them is to make it up. They have to make up the fasting at a later date. They do not have to make up the salat during that time that they miss, but they do have to make up the fasting. This is for the ha'id and the nufasa. Any questions?
لا.
Wal-hamil, and this is the question for Maryam had yesterday in the class. Wal-hamilu wal-murdi'u. And again, this is unclear here, but I straightened it out and I'll send it to you. Al-lam and the meme. Al-murdi'u. Al-hamilu wal-murdi'u. Al-hamil, the woman who is carrying, meaning pregnant, right? Al-hamil, the one carrying. Al-fa'il, from hamala, hamil, carrying. We say the same thing in English. She's carrying, right? Al-hamil, the one who is carrying, the pregnant woman. Wal-murdi', and the breastfeeding woman. From ra, dad, ain. Breastfeeding, right? The one who is breastfeeding. إِذَا خَافَتَا, if they fear. Here this ta is the ta ta'neath, and this alif is the alif al-ithnain. Right? Khafa, he fears. Khafat, she fears. Right? Khafata is those two fear. Women. If it was two men, it would be khafa. Right? If they fear, if those two fear. Ala waladayhima, upon their child. Upon their child. Waladay, here is their two children. Right? Them two's two children. Right? Meaning the child of this one and the child of that one. So there's two children and there's two of them. But we wouldn't say it like that in English. We're breaking down the Arabic here. Waladay. Walad is their child. Right? Walad is the child. Waladan is two children. But because of ala, harf jar, we say waladain. Right? Waladain, two children. But whenever it becomes mudaf, and it became mudaf by the adding of this pronoun, huma, right? We drop our noon, right? Waladayhima. So if they feared upon their two children, aftarata, again, aftarat, this ta is the ta ta'nith sakina, showing us that it's feminine, and this alif is the alif al-ithnain, showing the dualness of it. Aftarata, then they break their fast. Form 4 of fatara, fa-ta-ra. Aftarata, waqadata, and they make it up. Again, ta ta'nith sakina, alif al-ithnain. So they break their fast and they make it up. Qada, they make up. Wa at'amata, and this is from the madhab of the Hanbalis. Wa at'amata, at'ama, and they feed. The ta ta'nith sakin and the alif al-ithnain, and them to feed. An kulli yawmin miskina, for every day they feed, according to every day, basically, that they feared and broke their fast. An kulli is majroor after an, yawm is majroor after kulli, mudaf ilay. An kulli yawmin miskina, who do they feed? They feed a miskin, mansoob maf'ulun bihi, right? والحامل والمرضع إذا خافتا على والديهما, if they fear, the pregnant woman and the breastfeeding woman, if those two fear upon their two children, then they both break their fast. Both of them, the hamil and the murdi, the pregnant and breastfeeding women, have the ability to break their fast. وَقَضَتَا, and they make it up. وَطْعَمَتَا, and they feed. An kulli yawmin miskina, for every day a poor person. So basically, he says here, if a pregnant woman, right, is fearful, or a breastfeeding woman is fearful for her child, then she breaks her fast and makes it up. And on top of that, she has to feed a poor person for every day. And the scholars go into explaining that this is because she fears for herself or her baby. Then this is one, she makes up the day for her because she broke the fast for her, and because she feared for her child, she feeds for the child. So the making up is for her own, and for her child, she feeds somebody. Some of the other scholars, they bring in evidence to say, no, she just is treated like a sick person or like an older person, and she just feeds. She just feeds someone in place of that. She does not have to make it up, right? Difference of opinion amongst the people. There's a statement from Ibn Abbas, radiallahu anhuma, that they make it up. Or that they feed somebody, rather, that they feed somebody, and it doesn't bring the combination of the two. But the Hanbalis, they bring in evidence for this, even though to me personally it's not as clear as the statement of Ibn Abbas. However, the statement of Abdurrahman as-Sa'di here is that the breastfeeding woman or the pregnant woman, if they fear for their child, and notice they said if they fear for the child. He didn't say if they fear for themselves. If it's hard on them, right? If it's hard on them, right? Because of that, he said, but if they fear for their child, then they break their fast, right? So if they just feared for themselves and treated themselves like a sick person, then we would say al-marid alladhi yatadarru bis-sawm lahum al-fitr was-siyam. Then they have this or that, and they're going to make it up. right? They're going to make it up. If they break fast, the sick person that's harmed, he has to make that day up. If she's worried about herself, she makes the day up. If she's worried about her child, then she makes the day up and she feeds a poor person, right? Number 249. وَالْعَاجِزُ عَنِ الصَّوْمِ. Ajiz. Ain, Jim, Zay. The one who doesn't have the ability. He's incapable. The opposite of qadirin. We said qadirin was capable. Ajiz is the opposite of this. Incapable. He doesn't have the ability to fast. Li kibarin. Li kibarin. Li for harf jar. Kibarin majroor after lam. Kibarin meaning age. Like we say kabir. Allahu Akbar. Big. Right? Kibarin. Due to old age. Old people, even if they're not diabetic, even if they don't have high blood pressure, even if they're not on medicines and stuff like this, many times they're not able to fast. They're not necessarily sick, but they will be harmed by fasting. They would become sick if they fasted. Even if they're not on medications, even if they're not sick now, but they reach an age. أو مرض لا يرجى برؤه. أو مرض, or a sickness. He's ajiz. He's ajiz li maradin, due to a sickness. He's not capable due to a sickness. La yurja, it is not hoped. Right here, it's passive. Yurja, it is not hoped. Bur'uhu.
Not who?
Huh?
Not what?
Hoped. Hoped.
Hope. Okay.
Hoped.
Hoped.
Bur'uhu. From ba-ra. Right? Hamza. Bur'uhu, meaning to be free from it. He's not hoped basically to recover from it. A sickness that he would never ever get rid of, such as, say, diabetes. A person can reach a stage of diabetes that they have to have 4 shots a day, and they have to have them or they're going to die, and it's never going to change. They're skinny already. They're not fat. You know, it's just a medical problem that they have, or some other sickness that they may have, that they have to take medicine, and it's not hoped that they'll ever recover from that. This is something they're going to have to do for the rest of their life. This is the meaning of La yurja bur'uhu. It is not hoped for his recovery from that. This marad, he's never going to be free from that. So what is the case for this person? Al-ajiz, right? Al-ajiz an as-sawm. He's not capable of it. Li kibarin, due to old age. Or maradin la yurja bur'uhu, or a sickness that it is not hoped his cure. Bur'uhu, na'ib fa'il, marfu', bur'uhu. Who is an attached pronoun. It is not hoped its recovery, referring back to marad. Right? It is not hoped for its recovery. فَإِنَّهُ, then he, yut'imu. Fa here is so, or therefore. Innahu, indeed he, yut'imu. From at'ama yut'imu, he feeds an kulli yawmin miskina. For every day, a poor person. Right? He feeds for every day a poor person. Right? And this happens. Now, the issue comes up. Can he feed them all at once? Or does he have to, or can he feed the same person every day? Or can he feed them all at once? Or How does this work? It's permissible to feed them all at once. It's permissible to buy 30 people one day, 30 poor people one day, a meal, or prepare for them, or give them, or send them, however, a meal. 30 people in one day. It's permissible because he fed 30 people and he fasted and he missed 30 days or 29 days. It's permissible. All right, to feed them all at once, as long as he feeds a poor person for every day. Doesn't mean every day he feeds a poor person, but for every day he feeds a poor person. Also, what happens when someone says, I'm going to just buy an iftar at the masjid and feed the people there? Is this sufficient? It could be, it could not be, right? It could be, it could not be. And so that's why you're saying la, I believe, because everyone there might not be a poor person. We'll say out of 100 people who are going to show up, probably is not what you were told to do. You were told to make sure that 30 poor people were fed. And so you have to make sure that you're feeding 30 poor people, and not just 30 people who showed up to the masjid and they're doctors and engineers and, whatever else they might be, right? Truck drivers and taxi cab drivers, and they're not poor, right? So al-ajiz an as-sawm, the one who is incapable of fasting, li kibarin or maradin la yurja bur'uhu, due to old age or a sickness that is not hoped its recovery from, فَإِنَّهُ يُطْعِمُ عَنْ كُلِّ يَوْمٍ مِسْكِينًا, then he feeds for every day a poor person. Any questions? طيب. And he doesn't have to make it up. Say later on, this older person, he gets whatever. He starts eating a healthy lifestyle. He goes and does keto or something, and whatever the case is, the sick person, he recovers from this sickness that it wasn't hoped that he would be cured from. Does he have to make up those days? No. He does not have to make up those days. Rather, he just fed somebody in the place of it, because it was not seen that this was a possibility. So he just feeds somebody, and he does not have to make those days up. What does he have to feed? What does he have to feed every day? Him, the old person or the sick person is not hoped his recovery, or the hamil or the murdi, the pregnant woman or the breastfeeding woman. They say, whatever you eat, right? Whatever you eat, then this is sufficient for feeding someone, right? Not that you just give them a pack of ramen noodles, unless that's what you're eating. If that's what you're eating, that's different, right? But you give them this. Some of them say it's a nisfu sa', which is a sa' is 4 mud, 4 handfuls of your 2 handfuls scooped together. So you take 2 handfuls of rice or whatever the case might be, two double handfuls with your hands scooped together, 2 of those hands for each person, and other than that. And some of them say it's better to have prepared food and give them prepared food, right? These are all different issues related to it, right? And we'll read from there, inshallah ta'ala, from 246 to 249, bidnillah. Fadla.
Well, Marid Dullati يتضرر بالصوم والمسافر لهما الفطر والصيام. Well, والحائض والنفساء يحرم عليهما الصيام وعليهما القضاء والحامل والمرضع إذا خافتا ألا ولديهما أفطرتا وقضتا قضتا وأطعمتا عن كل يوم مسكينا. Next one too.
No.
Well, Ajiru
Aji, huh?
Saum.
Aji.
Ajizu.
No.
Well, Ajizu Saum. Li Kibarin O Maradin La Yurja Buruhu. فإنه يطعم عن كل يوم مسكينا.
نعم. أبا سمية.
والمريض الذي يتضرر بالصيام
بالصوم
والمسافر
بالصوم
والمسافر لهما الفطر والصيام والآهد والنفساء يحرم عليهما الصيام وعليهما القضاء والحامل والمرضع إذا خافتا على ولديهما أفطرتا وقضتا وأطعمتا عن كل يوم مسكينا. والعاجز عن الصوم لكبر أو مرض لا يرجى
Inshallah. Once you can calm that down, please. Astaghfirullah. Inshallah. We'll come back to him, inshallah. He says, Abdurrahman al-Sa'di, وَمَنْ أَفْطَرَ فَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاءُ فَقَطْ. And whoever breaks their fast, أَفْطَرَ, form 4, وَمَنْ, and whoever, أَفْطَرَ, whoever broke his fast, فَعَلَيْهِ, then upon him, الْقَضَاء, is the making up, فَقَطْ. Al-Qada, making up, that's it. إِذَا كَانَ فِطْرُهُ بِأَكْلٍ. If he broke his fast with eating. إِذَا كَانَ فِطْرُهُ, if his breaking of the fast was بِأَكْلٍ, with food. Oh, بِشُرْبٍ. And I don't know why this little thing is showing up. Maybe it's the font. Right? I tried to take it out, but I didn't try changing the font. It's actually another font at first, and I changed it to this, and it came because the rest of it was not very clear. What was happening is whenever I had, let me see if I can find a place. Whenever I had a shadda, for instance, sitteen, right now it has the shadda with the kasra below it, right? It was writing it at the font that I had up there at first when I was creating the PDF. It said, for instance, sitteen. So put the shadda there and the kasra below, and it's better up there, right? That's what we're used to seeing and reading. So I changed it to this font and didn't realize that it did it here. It did it in another place too. I don't remember where, but I'll fix it, inshallah. Even if I have to change the font, inshallah, I'll fix that. But bishurbin. Oh, bishurbin. or he broke it with drinking. He broke it with food, or he broke it with drinking. Right? With drink. أو قيء. قيء is vomiting. Vomiting. Right? أو قيء. Meaning أو بقيء. Right? أو بقيء. With a bat there. But it doesn't, you don't have to write it there. It's written here for you already. أو بقيء عمد. عمدا. Or بقيء عمدا. عمدا here meaning purposefully. Intentionally. He vomited on intentionally, on purpose. Right? This breaks your fast. Vomiting on purpose breaks the fast. Right? Vomiting accidentally does not harm your fast. But vomiting on purpose breaks your fast. أو hijamatin, or with hijama, according to the opinion that hijama breaks the fast. Right? Some of the people hold the opinion due to hadith. There's hadith which the Prophet ﷺ said that the one who does the hijama and the one who gets it done to him, that breaks their fast. And there's another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ did hijama, if I'm not mistaken, that he did hijama and he was fasting. So, which is right? The scholars say, some of them say this is nasikh and this is mansukh, that this one abrogates the other, this one happened after that one, and so therefore the second ruling is the one that takes place. And some of them say, and some of them give a reason. If the hijama is going to cause the person to become sick, or if it might cause the person who's doing the hijama to swallow some blood, because they don't have the modern tools that they have today. They used to have like animal horns that they used to suck the blood out. And if that person got blood in their mouth and possibly swallowed it, then this could break their fast. And there's many explanations here. Right? So according to the opinion that hijama breaks the fast, right? أو إمناء مبشرة. Right? Or
pronounce the last one.
إمناء مبشرة. And this should be a sukun, a tanween here. إمناء. It should be imna'in, right?
Okay. Bimubasharatan.
Bimubasharatan, yes.
Okay.
Bimubasharatan. Mubashara means to be touching and feeling, right? Imna comes from the word we might know, many, meaning to ejaculate. Right, to imna'in meaning ejaculation. Bi mubasharatan. I said mubashiratan, that's why. Mubasharatan, by touching and feeling. Meaning you didn't have sexual intercourse. You didn't have sexual intercourse. For that has a whole nother qada. That has a whole nother kafara. That has a whole nother way of having to make up for that, right? There is no qada for that. There is no making up, because you can never make up a day of Ramadan. Why? Because you can't fast 2 days in 1 day. You can never make up a day in Ramadan, because when next Ramadan comes, you're going to have to fast all those days. Right? However, you can make up fasting, which you do here. So a person does purposeful ejaculation by sexual intercourse, then this has a whole nother issue, right? So فَمَنْ أَفْتَرَ فَعَلَيْهِ الْقَضَاءُ فَقَط. Then there's only this faqat, meaning only, nothing more. That's it. There's on him this qada. إِذَا كَانَ فِطْرُهُ بِأَكْلٍ أَوْ بِشُرْبٍ أَوْ قَيْءٍ عَمْدًا أَوْ hijamatin أو إمناء بمباشرة. If it was from eating or drinking or vomiting purposefully, or hijama, or having sexual discharge due to touchy-feely stuff. Mubasharatan. Right? To have this touchy-feely, hugging, kissing, stuff like this. If that causes one to ejaculate, then the person has to make that up. That day needs to be made up. Right? إلا من أفطر بجماع, except for the one who broke his fast with actual sexual intercourse, meaning in the private parts. فإنه يقضي ويعتق رقبة. Then he makes it up. يقضي, he makes that day up. ويعتق رقبة, and he frees a slave. From Ain ta Qaf, to free a slave, as the Prophet ﷺ said about the slave woman that Muawiyah ibn al-Hakam, he smacked her. He asked her, where is Allah? Who am I? She said, Fis sama' anta Rasulullah. He said, a'tiqha fa innaha mu'mina. Free her. A'tiqha. So this has the meaning of free. Yu'tika raqaba. Raqaba is a slave. Right? It has the meaning of slave here. Raqaba is the neck, but it means the neck of a slave, and it means to free the whole slave, really. Right? فَإِن لَمْ يَجِدْ, and if he does not find, right? Majzoom after lam. يجد. فَصِيَامُ شَهْرَيْنِ مُتَتَابِعَيْنِ, then he should fast, or for فَصِيَامُ, then fasting, shahrain, fasting of 2 months. If he does not find a slave to free, right, he does not have the money for that, or he can't find one, there's such as now, where are you going to find a slave to free, right? Where are you going to find one? Shahrain mutatabi'ain, meaning consecutive. Mutatabi'ain, one following the other. Right? Shahrain mutatabi'ain, 2 consecutive months, or 2 months, one following the other. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, right? And if he's not able to do that, فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, majzoom after lam. And it was originally, at the end of it, it was, let me see, yastati'u. Originally had a ya in between the ta and the ain. But when we put the sukoon there was really a sukoon on the ain. Even though we normally don't write it, we have to drop that weak letter. فَإِن لَمْ يَسْتَطِعْ, and if he is not able, فَإِطْعَامُ سِتِّينَ مِسْكِينَ. This should be miskina. This is a mistake. Right? فَإِطْعَامُ سِتِّينَ مِسْكِينَ. Then he feeds, then the feeding of. It'am is the action of feeding. At'ama is to feed. At'ama, he fed. Yut'imu, he feeds. It'am is the masdar, meaning the feeding of sittina. What are you feeding? This is mansub maf'ulun bihi. 60 miskina. Here is the maf'ulun bihi. Sittina miskina, 60 poor people. And it should be, as I said, fatatain here. So he feeds 60 poor people. Right? So this is the kafara. If he has sexual intercourse. If he ate, or he drank, or he vomited on purpose, or he did hijama, or sexual discharge without sexual intercourse, right? Then he has to make that day up. He has to make that day up. And some of the scholars say you don't have to make that day up because there is no making it up. Right? But here, the opinion of Abdurrahman as-Sa'di is that you have to make it up. Except if you did it with sexual intercourse, meaning in the private parts, then he has to make that day up and he has to free a slave. And if he doesn't find one, then he has to fast 2 consecutive months. And if he doesn't find one, then he has to feed 60 poor people. And again, the same thing goes. He can do it all at once, or he can feed them all at once, or he can feed them individually on 60 different days, or whatever the case is. And it doesn't have a choice. He don't have a choice to do this or this or that. No. If he doesn't find a slave, then he fasts. And if he can't fast, then he feeds. But not that I have a choice to do this or this or that. He doesn't have a choice. Rather, he has to do it in this order. You have to try to find a slave. If you can't find one, then you have to fast. And if you can't do that, then you can say, oh, I'm just going to feed 60 poor people. No, that's not how it goes. Let's read to there, inshallah. 250 and 251, bidnillah.
ومن أفطر فعليه القضاء فقط إذا كان فتحه بأكل أو بشرب أو قيء عمد أو حجامة أو إمناء بمباشرة إلا من أفطر بجماع فإنه يقضي ويؤتك رقبة فإن لم يجد فصيام شهرين متتابعين فإن لم يستطع فإطعام سيين مسكينة.
Sittina.
What does that say?
Siyina.
Okay, Sittina Miskina.
No. And this goes for a man or a woman, right? If a woman is forced by her husband, then she doesn't have anything except the qada, right? But if she was not ignorant of the ruling and she went along with what her husband said, then she has to make it up, as well as follow this procedure of freeing somebody, or freeing a slave, or fasting 2 months consecutive, or feeding 60 poor people. Abu Sumayya.
ومن أفطر فعليه قضاه فقط إذا كان فطره بأكل أو بشرب أو قوه عمدا أو بجامة أو إملاء مباشرة إلا من أفطر بجماع فإنه يقضي ويعتق رقبة فإن لم يجد فصيام شهرين فإن لم يستطع فإطعام 60 مسكينا.
No. That's the end of our time, inshallah. I'll make these 2 corrections, inshallah ta'ala, and I'll see you brothers tomorrow, and I'll send you the PDF up to here, inshallah. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله.